Are you concerned about the situation in Venezuela but can't bring it up without a fight breaking out? If we could talk about it constructively, what would that look like? We will explore that question in this episode of Visionary Values Conversations, where we make sure people's concerns are understood and taken seriously, and in the process, open up common ground to build on together. I'm Alex Weissenfels, and joining me today are Pam, Holly, and Leslie. So, just going in order here, how does the topic affect you, or how did you become passionate about this topic?
Um, well, I guess it all began with the attacks on the boats and coming out of Venezuela on the pretext that these boats were carrying drugs, which was not proven and which is not a practice that's been acceptable ever that I know of, to just unilaterally decide you're going to start bombing individuals in boats on the open seas. And so that tends to make one angry that our government is doing that. And now that the snatch and grab of the Maduro happened without the consent of Congress or anybody knowing that it was going to happen, is not the proper procedure. So, yeah, that upsets me because our government seems to be, our executive branch of the government seems to be on its own, doing what it wants to do, and not having to answer to anyone. So that's what concerns me.
Hmm, that does sound worrying. Holly?
So my primary concern with Venezuela is for Venezuela as a country. Um, I have a brother-in-law who uh, is from Venezuela, and I know his family. Most of them are here in the United States. And Maduro, I'm not sad that Maduro has been removed. The country is in a very, very bad state. So, what I'm wondering about is sort of what comes next. Um, is this a situation that may evolve to the benefit of Venezuelans? Uh, and if so, by what route? I think there's lots and lots of question marks. Um, so,
hmm I know we're all hoping that it'll work out for the best here.
I agree with you, Holly. We don't have a great track record of destabilizing countries for the better. We don't. For me, it's more of a global concern since we've just violated a UN agreement that said that we would respect other nations' sovereignty by going in and removing their president and his wife. Um, then does that open Pandora's box for all of the big dogs that have nuclear weapons to say, I can take whatever I want now? Look, Trump just did it. Does that give Putin carte blanche to take Ukraine, take Poland, take whatever he wants? Um, because we basically just said might makes right. Rather than going for international approval, which we might have gotten with a legit um, arrest warrant, we might have gotten permission, and in violation of the Constitution, because he did not officially go to Congress and say, I'm about to go arrest this guy. Do I have congressional approval? Because, I mean, whether you acknowledge it or not, that was an expensive act. Where's that funded from?
hmm There are a lot of consequences that we'll need to be mindful of, certainly. This is also opening up information about what we're concerned about, and I really like the variety of angles that we've already discussed regarding this topic.
Mhm.
So we've got, in terms of foundational concepts here, it sounds like there's a lot of questions about trust regarding is the executive branch, uh, are there any limitations on its power? If it does something that we, the people, don't like, then can we do anything about that? And then what about the other countries? How are they going to see this? Are they going to take this as license to do what they want? And what sort of aggressive actions might the United States take or other global powers? And then I'm tentatively filing this under risk, but it could also just as easily go under trust or even habits. Just what will happen in Venezuela? How are the people of Venezuela going to be able to handle that? What other powers are there in play in the country already? And are we going to help or are we going to interfere more?
Mhm.
Hmm.
And I think for
Mhm.
costs,
Mhm.
um, where did he take the budget for this from? What are we giving up instead? If we can't afford healthcare, then how do we afford a military action on a sovereign country?
That's definitely
That would
something.
be
Yeah. Go again.
Marjorie Taylor Greene's question. America first, basically. That's the America first position.
Well, it's definitely worth asking because the everything that we do, it does have a cost. It means that when we spend money on something, we can't spend it elsewhere. So we want to make sure that we're spending money on what really matters. Let's see. I'm going to, I guess I'll toss one in here with habits just for balance. Just are are people in Venezuela prepared to? I know I read about the some people from the opposition, and I'm hoping that they're ready to step in and get the country back on its feet. I just don't know who else they would have to contend with if they go back in. The way this section ends is we express our concerns in these terms because these are things that that other people, regardless of how they feel about the operation to arrest Maduro, other
Mhm.
people should care about these questions as well. And so by asking these questions, we can introduce people to what we care about without putting them on the defensive. Part of step one is we can look at roughly how how would we know if our concerns here were addressed? This isn't binding or anything. This is just what sort of steps would we be able to take or what criteria? How would we recognize, oh yes, okay, it seems like this is on the right track. It seems like Venezuela is going to be okay. Seems like we're not going to do anything crazy in the future when it comes to just bringing in other world leaders and arresting them for various things. This is still our own values, part one. This is just getting a bit more concrete. These are our concerns. How would we know if our concerns were addressed? Right.
Well, for one thing, Trump could stop talking about taking over Greenland and taking over Mexico and taking over Colombia because that sort of messages is making everybody think that what he's doing is empire building, and this is not what we want. We do not want him to be empire building. If he went in to take down a person who has been indicted since 2020 by the Biden administration, that's one thing. Maybe he could go to Congress retroactively and get their blessing for what he's done. That would help to make things feel a little better, he needs to stop bombing boats in the Caribbean based on no intel, or share the intel that they have that is making them believe that these boats are carrying drugs. That would be another help. And explain why we can't use the techniques that we've used in the past with these boats, which is to board them and confiscate the drugs and arrest the people who are in the boats. So it would take kind of a very big switch in attitude of the administration in order to satisfy me on my issues with what's going on.
That'd be a step in the right direction. Holly? What would be something that would address your concerns or make progress in that direction?
Well, my concern is the state of Venezuela and the very bad situation of the Venezuelan people. I guess we will see what happens. I mean, Maduro and his wife have been removed. He's a dictator. She's a corrupt enabler, etc. I mean, I have no power to do anything here. I'm just watching, right?
Oh no. Yeah.
And the new president of Venezuela is part of the same regime. So there has been no regime change, right? It's like if Trump stepped down and JD Vance took over, it would be a change in who was at the top, but it would not be a regime change. There has been no regime change. So I can't remember who was talking about so there is someone who actually did win the election. There's Machado, who's part of the opposition, who might, if there was an election, the opposition might well win again.
Would you like to see an election?
If it was a fair election. If it was a fair election, but we don't know what's going to happen. So there's lots of question marks. I don't know if, from what I've read, the new president of Venezuela is certainly has the ideological bona fides, is very capable, very well connected, capable of running the country at least as badly as Maduro did, and I suspect it won't be worse. Will she improve things? I don't know. I hope that she actually cares about the Venezuelan people, which would be nice. But I mean, right now she's dealing with Trump and, managing this situation. But I don't know. I'm be interesting. There is at least some hope, I think, that she might be a better leader than Maduro. It wouldn't take much.
So we'll keep an eye on the situation then.
I mean, the country's a mess, a real bad mess. There might be a way for her to finagle this, to get a good outcome. I don't know. There are opportunities. I mean, the removal of Maduro has created opportunities.
Well, in that case, we can look for people who might be taking constructive advantage of those opportunities and see if we can maybe lend them support. Leslie?
For me, my concerns are more international. Is there anything we could do now to say, hey, if you want to try Maduro in The Hague instead, we'll deliver
Hmm.
him to you. Or, if you want to make this an international thing, we would love to be team players. But we've backed out of the climate accord and all kinds of other international things. And we've chosen to stand on our own as a country in so many things under Trump that I don't know that we have any international friends anymore. Our allies have been kind of hung out to dry in so many different ways that I don't know if we have any international allies. So how do we fix the opening of Pandora's box that might make right?
Mm.
Right? If we're not going to be the
Hmm.
ones to stop Putin, then is all of NATO going to have to go to war with Russia to undo what we just did? So I don't know how to undo the international ramifications of this action.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, certainly there are, like you said, a few gestures of cooperation that we could make, such as um, offering him to be tried in international courts. I'm not sure what they would try him for in those cases.
And
But
again, to talk about the illegality of doing this without Congress and without the UN,
mm,
now
mm,
we're taking oil tankers.
Hmm.
mm,
So, I mean, we've made it really clear why we did this, and it has nothing to do with drugs.
Hmm.
Strictly a
mm,
financial decision.
mm. So that it sounds like we're concerned that more decisions are going to be made based on financial interests rather than what helps people, what
Hmm.
protects them from drugs, dictators, etc.
Right.
So in that case, so now we've got the criteria that describe what sorts of things we want to look for and what sorts of things we want to avoid. So let's go around and find a, I'm calling the an ABC statement. Just I'm concerned about ABC. Does that make sense? Oh, so this would be instead of instead of something that says the the reason for this operation was to take control of oil, not to stop drugs coming into the United States. So that that's something that people would just argue about for days, weeks, uh, and and people don't get anywhere with that. But if we find what the concern is because I think that Trump did this in order to control more oil. I don't trust that he's not going to do the same thing to Greenland.
Hmm.
So, and where the ABC?
Hmm? The ABC is just a stand-in for like, such and such. Because I'm
Oh,
concerned about Trump taking
okay.
more aggressive actions like invading Greenland.
Right. Right. Um, yeah. So Trump has said himself that this was motivated by oil. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he's been speaking to the big oil industry because they seem not very interested in going into Venezuela and the condition that it's in right now and investing a bunch of money and not knowing what the ultimate, you know, if they're going to have a lot of opposition, if there's going to be a civil war that breaks out, if oil prices are going to come up enough, or gas prices are going to come up enough to make it worthwhile for them to rebuild the oil industry in Venezuela. So I'm concerned that Trump doesn't really understand what it is he's doing himself, that he has decided that the oil industry is his friend and he likes to do things for his friends. But ultimately, what I think his goal is to rehabilitate Maduro, make a deal with him, get a bunch of money from Maduro's bank accounts that he can put in his own pocket, and then he'll pardon Maduro and send him back to Venezuela to keep running Venezuela the way it's been run. And the deal he wants to make is probably more for the precious minerals, the rare earth minerals that we need, lithium and so forth, for batteries and whatever. And that there's a lot of money to be made, and he wants to be there to get his share. So my concern is that Trump really doesn't know what he wants to do, but if he does, it's got to be some nefarious plan to put money in his own pocket and to help his friends, who are the business people who are just going to go in and do what the Dole Fruit Company did back in the banana war days, of just exploiting the resources and leaving the people to fend for themselves. So
Just making sure I summed that up properly here. So I've got, I'm concerned that Trump will collude with Maduro on resource deals and send him back to Venezuela for the financial benefit of himself and other wealthy people. Does that
you
sound
are
right?
so good at putting things succinctly. Yes, that's exactly it.
Thanks, Pam. Holly? So what we're looking for then is a statement that sums up your concern. It doesn't assert things that invalidate other people's beliefs, but rather just expresses your concerns in ways that other people can understand and can even agree with. For example, I'm pretty sure that even most Trump supporters would also not want Trump to collude with Maduro on resource deals and just send him back to Venezuela. They may not believe that'll happen, but they don't want it to happen. So, Holly, do you have a statement about Venezuela that expresses your concerns?
My concerns as far as Trump's behavior is where his attention goes next. I think he has fantasies about Venezuela, most of which are not anchored in any kind of realism. I think he'll lose interest and go on to something next, but I'm concerned about what's next because of the emboldening effect. Like, oh, look how easy that was. We got Maduro out, and I will now fantasize that we will somehow be in charge of Venezuela's oil through no means that will be specified. But is Greenland next? Is it the Panama Canal next? Who knows? Nigeria? The thing is that he continues to do reckless things. He's done many reckless things, and there haven't been bad consequences to him of doing so.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely something that we don't want to see. Hmm. Leslie?
So again, in the more global view of this, we've basically told the entire world that there are no checks and balances. Our Congress is ineffective. This president is going to do whatever Putin-esque thing he wants to do. This is how world wars start. And so what he's done is he's just taken us one step closer to World War III. Because if we take Greenland, that has all these natural resources, China and Russia are going to protect it. And they're already in the area thinking about it. And NATO is going to protect it. So now is the US going to be against NATO and China and Russia? How is he going to isolate us in this world view? Who's going to be in this world war and who's going to be on our side?
Hmm. Definitely something that I would hope pretty much nobody wants a world war. So I've got the statements of concern here. Could we please go through and just take turns just reading out your statement of concern? Or let me know if there's anything that you want me to change about it.
I'm concerned that Trump will collude with Maduro on resource deals and send him back to Venezuela for the financial benefit of himself and other wealthy people. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's my concern.
Mm-hmm. Holly?
Uh, I'm concerned that Trump will do something more extreme and reckless, such as taking over Greenland. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Leslie?
I'm concerned that there are no checks on Trump's executive branch and he may start a war. I would be more specific and
Oh,
saying he may start a world war
mm-hmm.
where we have few to no allies.
Mm-hmm. Good point. That's a lot more formidable.
Mhm.
So now that we've looked at our statements of concern here, this gives us a solid picture of the basic values that inform our positions, and it helps us express ourselves to others in ways that they can understand. So when someone disagrees with us, we can feel secure rather than defensive because nothing that they say can just negate our values. Those are our concerns, and they deserve to be addressed. So that way we can feel secure about what we're concerned about. And feeling secure is very important because before we can express our own values to others, we need to listen for their values so that we can make them feel secure, secure enough for them to listen. So that's coming up next.